hand at something that I haven't done in a while, and I am really playing with fire when it comes to the fact that this may not come out very well. But I'm gonna try to be as honest as possible, and we're gonna try this out. So I'm gonna make no fuss French bread. I don't necessarily consider this French bread. So we're just gonna try this out. So this recipe is from My Mundane and Miraculous Life. Sounds like we could be twinsies. And the recipe has 1.5 cups of warm water, a tablespoon of honey, a teaspoon and a half of salt, 1 tablespoon of dry active yeast. Oh, it was a tablespoon of honey as well. And then 3 to 4.5 cups of flour. I have the water, the yeast, the salt, and the honey here. Now I used fast rapid acting yeast, which is a little more robust than the dry active yeast. So if my temperature for my water wasn't right, which you want like between 130 and 150 for that one, and you want it a bit lower for the other yeasts, then I mean there's more wiggle room. So that's why I used it. So I let it sit for about 5 to 10 minutes with the honey and the salt. And now I'm gonna add in the flour. I ended up using oat flour for part of it and then a white wheat flour for the rest. So I did it's gonna be about 2 and 2 or 1 and 1. So like 2 cups of the oat flour, and then we're gonna add after that cup of white wheat flour how much we actually need. So let's dump this. And then we're going to mix for now. And then we'll start kneading. So the goal for this dough is that you want it not to stick to anything by the time you're done. That's gonna be a little difficult because it's oat flour. It takes a little while for it to soak things up, I believe. Also, there's less gluten in this flour because it's oat flour. Now let's add that cup of white whole wheat flour, and then we're gonna end up starting to knead. Okay, I just added about a half cup more of flour, and I'm just kneading the bejesus out of it. And I think I'm almost at my goal where I just don't want it to stick to my hands. You know, I want it to stick to itself. So all in all, I probably added about 3.5 cups worth of flour, because I guess I don't really consider the oats flour because they're kind of ground up, but I guess that's what flours in general, just ground up certain products. Like almond flour is just ground up almonds, and hazelnut flour is just ground up hazelnuts, and chickpea flour is just dried up and broken down chickpeas and whatnot. Same thing with wheat. Okay, it's kind of, now that everything's mixed, it's still kind of sticking to my hand, so I'm going to throw in maybe another 1/4 cup. And if you don't like really kneading at home, right there, I have a mixer. Sometimes with mixers you can get the kneading mixer thingy. I don't even know really what it's called, but it looks like this, and you have the hook that helps mix it together and knead it together. So you always have that option if you happen to have a mixer that happens to have those attachments. That's what this one is for kneading and making dough. I believe I am pretty much done and mixed. It is not sticking to my hand anymore. So we're gonna put this on a baking sheet. So you're just gonna roll this into a loaf. I know, very special of me, right? So it's gonna be a homemade loaf. And I'm gonna set a towel on it and let it rise for about 20 minutes. I'm actually gonna wet the towel a little bit because I don't want it to dry out. We're gonna let that rise for about 20 minutes, and now you can actually set the oven so then it has the time to preheat. So we're gonna put that at about 400. Okay, so now we just wait. Okay, let's take this off. It has been longer than 20 minutes. I can't tell you how long, I just know it's been longer because I was doing something else while that was going on. And now we are ready to throw this in the oven for about 16 to 20 minutes. So we'll just probably do another 20 minutes. But before that, I'm gonna cut slits into the dough so it releases some of that air, because we like air in the bread, we like those air pockets, but we don't want it to not bake because of that. We want some release. Okay, so we'll make diagonal slits because that'll make it look pretty. Okay, so let's throw this in. And let's hope for the best. Okay, we're gonna actually cut into it already for the sole fact that I don't think it's completely cooked through, because although oat flour is a decent alternative to regular flour, you need to kind of do a 3-to-1 ratio and increase your yeast in there. Plus, I don't think the yeast bloomed as well as I wanted it to, which I was kind of suspecting when I did it. So we're gonna cut this open and see what it looks like inside. And if it looks cooked, then great. If not, then I'm gonna basically make a Zweibacken, which is a twice baked cookie, but I'm gonna do it with the bread, so basically like a crostini, and cook the inside as well. So let's see what happens. Oh yeah, this is very, 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 very dense. You can even see it yourself. And there's like no air pockets even though I cut through it. Very steamy though. So it looks like I'm making little sandwiches with these. Let me throw them in. And I also have a pan of water on the bottom to help steam it while it's cooking so it doesn't dry out. So I'm gonna leave that in for probably another 10 minutes and then we'll look at it. Let's check them out. These are the now crostinis. I guess they're kind of crostini since I cut them and then I toasted them again. They look okay. I mean, they definitely don't look like French bread. Granted, it can't be French bread since there's no French flour in it and doesn't really follow the French technique. So yeah, basically rustic bread crostini, I guess. Yeah, good enough. So we're gonna try one of these bad boys out with beurre because even though it's not really French, it's still bread, and what goes with bread better than butter? Sorry, I have mustard on my hands. That is also because I got a burn, and there is an enzyme in yellow French mustard that actually helps with burns. So I'm just trying to keep it on since I burned my hand from the oven. Fun facts. Lather on that butter. Oh, it's dripping onto the rest, but it's butter, so it works. Oh, so because I used oat flour that doesn't have as much gluten, I didn't get the elasticity I wanted, which didn't allow for the air pockets or the holes, which is why it became a heartier bread. So with that type of bread, and you either want to up the yeast, or you want to add maybe like a baking powder or baking soda to help the rest of it rise. That's also a possibility. Or just go with a whole wheat flour or flour that has a higher gluten content as compared to oats. I just wanted to use what I had in the house. That's what worked. But making it into a crostini ended up working out fine anyway, because at least I didn't waste it. So yeah, I'm definitely not wasting this butter either. So success, but not. I have to change it in order to use it. But you know, you're welcome to try it out. Welcome to try out the original recipe with regular flour. Just remember, it's basically salt, sugar, or really honey, hot water, yeast, and flour. Real simple. Knead it all together, put it in a loaf form, put a towel over it. I usually use a wet towel because that helps keep in the moisture. Then that's about for 20 minutes, and then throw it in the oven for about another 20 minutes. That's how it's supposed to work. If you do it the way I did, then you have to do it, basically put in another 10 minutes and put it like a sheet or a pan with water in it to steam in the oven. And that, again, allows it to not dry out and to keep the nice moist kind of taste that you get from bread. You can even add oregano or cinnamon or whatever you want to the bread because it's your bread. You can even have raisins. Completely up to you. That's what the recipe sheet suggests. I mean, I even suggest maybe some nutmeg, or you want to go real crazy, some extra pepper, because pepper bread tastes delicious. Or you can even add dried tomatoes or dried peppers. The only thing that if you do that, watch out for the liquid ratio because you're going to end up rehydrating them depending on when you add them in. And if you add wet ones, like wet tomatoes, whatever, wet peppers to those, you again have to decrease the water that you're going to put in just because you have to be careful about the amount of water versus flour ratio. So overall, okay, definitely try it out, see what you can do, and I'll catch you next time. Man, I got butter all over my hand.